Welcome to Fighters Drinking Coffee. Today, we're going to talk about balancing life and jujitsu. This actually comes from a listener question. And so we both are have slightly different dynamics outside of jujitsu. We both have other obligations, but we have different situations. So for example, Mike, I have a wife. I have two kids. For now, I have a job. But we both have something outside of jiu-jitsu, and then we also have jiu-jitsu. And we both have different obligations within jiu-jitsu as well. Like I'm a coach. I'm a competitor, and that's my obligation in jiu-jitsu. But you, Scott, you're a gym owner. You are a coach and you're also a competitor. So like, it's just different. We have different ways that we approach this, and set them up a little bit with your situation outside of jiu-jitsu.
My situation outside of jiu-jitsu is, unlike Mike, I don't have a wife and I don't have any kids. So that's different significantly. However, I also, I own another business. Like you said, I have business obligations within jiu-jitsu. Which I suppose is kind of like you could put that as like a header or whatever, a label, an all-encompassing label within which athlete and competitor also fall.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I know when we've talked about, or when we initially set up the podcast, your LLC is described as your child as well. So, you have there is an obligation to that. That's like,
you have to provide shareholder value.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, and then, we also both have the podcast, so we have to balance with everything else as well. So, I mean, it's a lot of different things that we have going on in our lives that we have to pay attention to,
alongside quote unquote jujitsu.
Yeah. The thing that, and, you have to decide every day how you're going to fulfill your obligations within each of these different sectors. So like, we have to figure out like, how are we going to, we're both constantly, looking at how to build success within the podcast. Where are we have to look at the successful things, the non-successful things. So like that's a thing we have to do most days. We have, I have obligations with the kids. I'm spending, got to spend time with the wife, got to spend time with your family. I also have obligations at the gym with coaching. I have to be there most mornings, sometimes twice a day, just depending. And you only have 24 hours in a day. You got to sleep through some of that. We also have our strength and conditioning that we have to complete. So like there's a lot of different balls you have to keep in the air. So let's, I want to start on you and kind of figure out, how do you run both? Because you have to run, you're running a successful business, in payment processing. You're running a gym that's successful. You have lots of members. You guys have been open for
8 years.
Yeah, I was trying to think when that was. What year? 2017. It is now. Yeah. So you've been, their gym's been open for 8 years. You've moved from one location to another, actually from a cheaper part of town to a more expensive part of town too. So like obviously there is a level of success that has to have been maintained to keep that going. And so how? What are the things that you and competing, we kind of on a every month, every other month, you're coaching your competitors as well when they're competing. So walk us through it. How do you keep that going?
Yeah. Okay. So I will address the question. One thing I want to say though, that I think we mutually align on this, which is that this is the kind of the core of my answer too, which is that there's this career path within jiu-jitsu. We'll call it that. That road that, we both are pursuing, life, not just a lifestyle, but also a career. A career means you want to monetize it and make a living off of it in this space. And, yeah, so you did a good job of laying out the different things that on a weekly basis I have to spend time on to see. Okay, because the word career, um, building off of that specific word, I think implies also that there are goals and there's like a progression that must take place within that. So okay, so to answer your question, like because I framed it that way intentionally, which is because I think using the career label, and I'll start with the gym and the business there. But I find that there's an alignment with. I'll start with that, then I'll get to the other things I do. I also have a personal life.
Yeah. There's also a personal.
There's that, but but this is, I think this is part of the core of the question is like, how do you do these things, and like how can you also, how all that fits together.
I guess we should throw that in there. The inherent need as humans to have some form of socialization as well. Like, that's also pretty important. That's why it's also there. Part of the balancing. Correct.
That's why it's right. That's the core of the question.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll talk about it. I do believe I have a balance, albeit because of where I'm beginning to take this. My balance is, I mean, like that side of the world, the other, call it other, personal life, just other things. I prioritize the career. No surprise. I prioritize that, and I prioritize the things that go into that. Now, for what it's worth, once upon a time prior to that, the career side of things being a reality, this is why, like, the career choice and me saying that I prioritize it was a pretty easy decision for me to make, because what I found before I, monetized, I careeritized, all of this stuff was I was spending my free time, like my balance was doing these things anyways, coaching, athletics, helping, once upon a time, like other gym owners with like just some of their obligations, coaching and being an athlete helps those things, which again is part of this. So it's sort of like if I build out that hierarchy of jobs and the work that goes into it. And I'll start just again, like I said, I'll start with the academy. The other things that I do support that. So, and I, if I'm going to give like a practical answer too for folks who are listening to this, we just talked to Caleb like 30 minutes ago, maybe a little bit more than that, but like today about him going down this path as well. Your lens and your focus changes when, having an academy and like having employees, having teammates, and needing that business, needing that entity to grow and be successful, which, like, no surprise, it's a business that runs on money. And there are people who rely upon that. It's not just me. There are other folks who need that business to survive and thrive. So you have to like change the way you look at things, and you have to, if I put it first, probably I definitely intentionally, but also like maybe unintentionally, maybe like subconsciously, without the business being able to grow and thrive and continually make money and scale and ascend, the other things will, I think, inherently become weaker as well. So if that's at the top of the ladder, like everything else that I do, which I think, again, it falls in line, probably in that order too, like business, coaching, and then myself as an athlete. Like I kind of have to treat it that way. My athletic goal, going down, I guess, bottom of the totem pole, that helps. It helps provide a community and a culture for the coaches, which also pushes the business up. So like the better I do at my competitive athletic career in martial arts teaches me how to be a better student and coach, which inherently allows me to deliver the product of the business in a better, more intentional, more educated way, providing, my coaching peers, their employees, with, if I'm wearing that label, they're my peers, they're also coaches. It gives them more perspective, some things they can perhaps gain from too, or I can gain from them. And then all of this, like these benefits, I suppose, that I'm elaborating on here, benefits the business as well. Like that community, we talked about the community and like how, like I mentioned in the last podcast that, in my opinion, those other things, again, like secondary and tertiary to what makes the business grow, happens organically. If for all intents and purposes, basically what I'm saying is like I prioritize. I can do all. I believe I can do all of these things and be successful in them. But the athletic, my individual goals, they're aligned. Like individually, I want to be a good coach and I want to be a good business owner as well. So it's not like I'm sacrificing one for the other. But I say this because, like I mentioned careers and metrics and success. Like I think like money is a pretty good indicator of success, right? Like that's free market shit. Like it's capitalism,
especially from a business standpoint.
Well,
like
100%.
That's how the more money people are willing to give you, it means that they support
there's value that they're receiving, right?
Yeah.
And the more people who you can provide that value to whatever the price point is, it's just like it's an indicator because this, again, it's a free market. They don't have to be here. They can leave whenever they want.
Especially how we talked about how many options there are in this area. Like there's a lot of, they don't have to travel very far to get to another gym. So them, which isn't the case everywhere, but them choosing to come here rather than going, a mile down the road, and pick another and go to another place, that means that they value the product that you're providing. Like, yeah, absolutely.
So, but you see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like to me, because like there's getting a bunch of medals and being poor, getting a bunch of medals and not having any way to like this sport that we are in, although it's changing, there's not a lot of places you can go and get paid solely to be an athlete. It's beginning to happen, but you have your CJIs where guys can make like $1 million now. That's pretty damn good. There's that's one organization right now that I know of that you can make that type of money.
And winning isn't the brand anymore. You do not need to win to be a successful person in the realm of jiu-jitsu.
Right.
You need to be able to sell what you've done. You need to be able to push your wins. You need to be able to push your losses. You need to be able to market everything you're doing in a way that speaks to your customer. You can lose and still provide value from that, right? Like if you are good at selling yourself.
With that, exactly. That's kind of we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
But now that's also because of the position I'm in where I, as you said, if I do those things right, I can continue to provide value within the business where people are coming in to learn something and, get to exercise and to learn a skill and all that. But you're right. Like, but that's why I was saying like my within that world, I haven't even gotten to my other parts of my life too, but within that world, those things are properly aligned. So yeah, it fits pretty well. And obviously like we go into tournaments and stuff and we're going in to win. So that's like inherently, I want to do that. Now that said, because of all of the other obligations that compete for time and attention, perhaps being solely a competitor and that being your stated only goal, those guys might be more successful in winning those medals, but they might not be making more money. They might not be like, it's like, dude, if you're going to do this for the long haul, you have to have a strategy like that. You'd be like, how am I going to live and also continue like to compete and win? If that's really what fuels you, it's part of what fuels me. That's not the only thing that fuels me.
Yeah,
obviously. Thus I wouldn't be doing these other things, but yeah, like just my statement on like having the business like allows that exercise of extracting value from competitive experience, disseminating it to students, obviously to my peers, to my business partners, to whatever, like anyone who can get value from my experience. I think it fits really well. But at the same time, and kind of maybe I'll bring it back to the core of the question, like these are all things that like throughout the week, I have to carve out time to work on the business's goals. And that's like, it's a business, right? So like anything else, this is, doing work for the business is not sitting around and thinking about my guard passing or my submissions. That's part of it, right? Because that's the class experience and me being aware enough to say, all right, like the things that I've learned while being in an IBGF tournament or whatever, an ADCC tournament, how can I take those tactics, those moves, those strategies, and like make that into like a cool product that other people can benefit from. But doing work for the business is like managing staff, looking at your P&L sheet, studying, money in, money out, and then having future goals, planning for that, like moving people around, creating a business culture. So yeah, it's just my point is that requires work and time in and of itself. And like training, you got to like train to be good at that too. Like I have books in here on business. I have business mentors and stuff like that. I have to like go and develop those skills as well. That's another thing I have to do.
Yeah.
I have to improve myself at that. But you're right. Yeah, but it's time.
That's time. You're not like running a jiu-jitsu gym isn't just being on the mats.
100%.
Like, so there's time outside of that. You can't just show up and coach. There's other things you need to do, which I don't think everyone always appreciates. Like, I don't think everyone knows that. Or
maybe at the end of this at the end of this podcast, they will.
Yeah,
but you're right.
I don't think that that's something that people that aren't doing it, right? Because they don't see it. Those aren't the things they see. That's the things they're reaping the benefits of.
Right. Yeah. 100%. So, well, anyways, but this is just within that realm, right? So, but okay. Yeah. So, but the point there is that like you have to have. So, like at the end of the day, like I think like if I could be maybe a little more like direct for people listening, like you're gonna have to look at your calendar and really think about what you're spending your time on and how you structure your time across weeks, months. What did you just do?
I'm just trying to get my mic closer to my face.
It's pretty close to your face.
It's close enough now.
You're good. You're good. Yeah, you have to dial in your schedule, man. And like, dude, like I'm like everyone else, like I have to have time to like not do this stuff so I can come back to it and do a better job. Like you have to like training, like your body has to recover, your mind has to recover. You have to like mentally, emotionally recover from things and then go back in and do it again really well. No, I don't do a great job at like taking time away, but I've learned how to do that.
Most people don't. I think that's a pretty common thing in the realm of jiu-jitsu too. Like I think most guys that are involved in jiu-jitsu in one way or another tend to be pretty bad at not being involved for a period of time, right?
It's a tough thing to walk away from.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, I call it like being in the game. Like I want to be in the game, but also like, I know that when I'm not in the game, sometimes when I come back, I do better in the game. So it's the exercise of knowing how to find balance. Now, here's what I'll say about another cool thing about what I like about my career, my life is that all of this stuff that I hope I'm not sounding like I'm complaining because I chose to do this and I want to do this. And like I said, I like being in the game, but like this quote unquote game takes me to Miami. It takes me to Las Vegas. It's taken me to Italy, taking me to Spain. It's taking me like I can go out and like I can work and balance and like modulate things where it's like, it's still fun. It's like, there are definitely days where it feels like I'm working. Most days it feels like I'm working. I don't mind that. But there are times when I'm like, I'm working, but it doesn't feel like work. Now, by the way, caveat that with I'll segue slightly over to I have another business. That company, definitely, I have to do the same thing. Carve out time, plan, do all the business stuff. That is work, but it's also fun work. Like people who know me, and I post this stuff, but like I own a payment processing company with a couple other guys, and we primarily work with cannabis related businesses, which takes me to events, networking and stuff like in another community and culture that's also kind of fun too. Like the very dynamic of that is like, it's different people. Like I like working with like in like interesting spaces. Like jiu-jitsu guys are weirdos. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
We might do a podcast on that. Those guys tend to be weirdos too. Like I'm probably I am the core weirdo who is trying to find myself. I call other people weirdos. Like I'm not also the weirdo, but like sweet. Like I like that. So, but my point is like over there, like it's work for sure, but there's a balance in that too, where I'm like I just mentioned, I go to Miami, I go to cool places where I can take a break while I'm working, while I'm going for a training camp or a tournament in Miami and like get a little bit of like sun or whatever. I can make that fun. I can do that over there too.
Well, especially if it's like, they're your kind of weirdos too, right?
Yeah,
like,
they're great.
If those guys are your kind of weirdos, you go and spend time. You're in these cool places where you can hang out and like do fun things around the work you're doing. Like because my career outside of jiu-jitsu is brewing beers, similar type of. I mean, it's a very similar group of guys to the cannabis industry. Like, and some of them really enjoy the cannabis industry.
That they do.
So, like you have this group of people that knows how to unwind.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you get to do these cool things surrounding work. So I totally get that.
Something like, we didn't get into this with Caleb because he was in kind of a hurry, could have come up, but I like jokingly, and like, look, I like my business partners. I like the people I work with in all of my companies. They're fun. They're like, I jokingly say my ethos is like, I want to go have fun and get paid to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like that is what I'm trying to do. In my free time, for those listening, I want to race cars. I have been going to race cars. I've been going to car racing classes and shit. That's my next fucking big thing, dude. Like one day I want to own a race car. I said it.
Next business.
For real.
Yeah.
One day, I don't know how to do it yet, but like starts with, I'm in the intro class. I'm in the intro classes for like racing Porsches and like fucking cool shit. Like, dude, it's awesome. Now, yeah, one day I'll figure out how to make money doing that. And like, I can't wait for that. But okay. But so, like I said, like, this is my ethos. Caleb was talking about how he's like, let's have fun. Like, he's like, I like having fun. I'm like, yeah, I get that, dude.
Yeah.
I get it. But yeah, dude, but at the same time, like, you introduce money and like goals and shit like that. It can, like, I want to do things that, have goals around them. I like that shit. And then sometimes that can be stressful in that, because, it takes a thing that's fun and then it adds an intensity to it that you're like, no, I have to go do this thing now because I said I was going to do it. I want to do it. Can you do that and also make it fun? For sure. Do I always know how to make it fun? No, I don't. But if I take a step back, like anytime I feel like I'm getting like just ground to a pulp, which happens, it helps for me to remember that, Yeah. So like, that's why I don't mind being in the game. But all right, so like balance, like doing that, Primo Payments, which is the payments company, District Martial Arts, the podcast, which is fun.
Yeah.
Which is fun, right? It's fun, man.
It's
and
fun.
like, but this is another career path.
Yeah.
Right. It's another thing. But again, it's fun. It's fueled by fun. Like, dude, this stuff is like, we're busy. Like stuff comes up. Maybe there are days where we're just like fried and like, dude, I don't know if I can talk for like 4 hours. Dude, when we recorded the Seams after that workout that he tried to destroy my life with, we had me do the air assault bike. That shit sucked, man. But I was like, I was there and I was like, I had like a 20-minute break before you came over. I was like, dude, I don't know if I can do this podcast. I don't know if I have it in me. I did. But, like, it's like, again, I'm a human being. But then again, like I said, this is an easy thing for me to say. I'm going to do it. Like, this is awesome. It's fun. So I want to do that. But now all that said too, I realize I might be in a fairly unique position because of that. And because of what I said earlier, I don't have a wife and 2 kids. I can prioritize these things. So much, my schedule is built around this stuff. And one day when there's a wife and kids, she'll understand that. Like that's what's up. Now that said, like I mentioned earlier, I have a personal life. But I've looked at I have it kind of dialed in. Like I know my nights when I'm available. I know my weekends when I'm available. I know my weekends when I'm not available because we plan this stuff out. I have tons of weekends that aren't available because of everything I've said.
Yeah. Any other thing, travel for work.
But you plan it.
Things you want to do.
You plan it. I can look at the calendar and be like, yo, dude, I'm going to be smoked at the end of fill in the blank month.
Yeah. I mean, heck, we were literally doing that right before we sat down to start recording this. We're looking at we look at what things we have coming up and like, all right, well, we need to knock out
5 episodes in the next 3 weeks or whatever. Yeah, bro. Exactly. So, but fuck it, man. Like, cool. Let's do it.
It's fun.
It's just fun. And I can also look ahead and say, dude, like, again, I've cultivated like when I'm like in Arlington and I'm not running around, I just do my things. I've got a pretty good balance going where I'm like, I'm not too smoked. Like I'm pushing it to the fucking limit for sure, but I can do these things. I'm like, I can get my rest. I can get my free time to go do things, go on dates, do whatever I want to do, hang out, catch my breath, and then keep going. It took a while for me to figure that out, but I can do that. By the way, I'm not talking about the like million hours that I'm on the mat training, physically difficult training, plus strength and conditioning. Like but that's kind of like maybe a throwback to the first thing that we talked about, or what I talked about when I was describing gym coaching and athletics. In alignment, like I want an athletic career in my life. So, dude, a significant amount of my time is built around that. It's probably, actually, without a doubt, I have cultivated my schedule around when I'm not getting my ass destroyed in training, and everything else is kind of, it, I put it in strategic points, like days and times where I can like do that, get the morning workout done, eat, hydrate, shower, think for a second, bang, start working on whatever business objective that I have, get this thing done, bang out this deliverable, answer to people, answer to business partners, take a phone call, schedule some time for a sales meeting or whatever. Okay, did all that in these blocks. Oh, I have another training session in the evening or afternoon or whatever. Boom, go do that. Come back, eat, handle more shit, emails, text, this, that. Go to bed. I prioritize sleep.
Oh, you have
by
to.
the way.
You have to.
By the way, I make that, like, that's a big one. I can't do all of this shit that I'm talking about without like that. So my way of saying, like, when I'm here, like I've got myself pretty dialed in. Like I have free time. I have like time to balance my life for sure. Now, on that, I'm pretty willing to like let some of that free time slip if something comes up for one of the things that I've talked about. And like that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at in life. I can do that and I want to. Alternatively, if there's a free time thing I've booked myself for, like I'm like, this is what I'm doing, that's what I'm doing too. So I have that discretion to say, no, I'm not going to do these things for the next couple of hours. I'm talking to this lady or whatever. I'm watching a fucking movie. I'm not going to, do emails or texts or whatever. Like I can do that. But also, like I said, I give myself that room to decide like what's right now with what I'm working on, objectives wise, what's the best use of my time? And if I feel like I can get something done, I'll fucking do it. If I feel like I can't because I'm like, no, man, I need to do I come back from training most weeknights, and the amount of time I have between I'm just getting cleaned up and I'm stepping out of the shower, like I consider that like the end of training. Like I'm clean now. Eating, stopping for a second and like maybe throwing on a TV show or reading a book before I then go to bed. It's fucking tiny, but it works for me. I don't give a shit. It's fine. But so my point is that there's not a lot, like I said, the skill for anyone listening who like is in relatively similar position, look at your calendar, man, and like map that shit out and like have a plan. Like there's just not a lot of time to waste.
Well, you have to prioritize too, like what free time matters the most to you. So you're getting like the best free, like.
So let's throw that over to you, dad and husband.
Yeah.
Like I mean, dude, I'm happy. I could keep talking.
Oh,
I have to think about this shit all the time, but I want to hear your thoughts, man. Like you're toss it over to you, like another significant lifestyle, worldview. I don't know. Archetype that like I think a lot of people listening will resonate with, man. I'm a weirdo, dude. Like my shit is kind of like unique. Maybe some folks out there listening to it will resonate with that. I think
there's definitely people that fit into that realm as well, but like maybe not all of them are business owners and then also own their gym. Like not all of them, some of them, but not everybody. Like it might be a smaller subset, but yeah, I mean, so, I have, as of right now, maybe by the time this comes out, might not be 100% accurate. Well, no, I'll still have a job at the time this
TBD. Okay.
I will have just stepped down from being the guy in charge of a brewery, and will be training my replacement. So when this releases, I will still have a job. But so like for me, a big thing, and this is kind of what has driven a lot of the lifestyle changes that I'm making to set myself up in a position where I am able to balance everything I want to balance. So I tend to chase things I'm passionate about. And a big part of that is I get really into every single thing I do. And I only really want to do things that I'm really into, because I, to a fault, will commit myself into everything I do. And sometimes that's strenuous on other people. Sometimes that's gets me into positions where I go through periods of burnout.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has periods of burnout. You were just touching on that. And so I've reached another kind of tipping point, and I've had this happen before, like where I got into brewing become very passionate about it, become very about the things I'm doing for the reasons I'm doing them. Me personally, why I'm doing them. And initially that was a pathway to support the family thing, right? So like I was full-time jujitsu, running a gym, not owning a gym, just running it, managing the gym. I guess is probably a better way to put it. But managing a gym, competing full-time, coach full-time. So like full-time athlete, basically. But that's not always the most stable thing. And especially at the time that I was doing it, like back 20 teens, early 20 teens, it was super niche still. Like this was not a mainstream thing. Any professional jujitsu organization that was popping up was basically failing, popping up, failing, popping up, failing.
Metamours.
Yeah. Shout out to Metamours. That was a fun one. But
yeah,
so
I've got some painful stories with them.
Yeah.
No problem.
This whole,
I'm over it.
Where jujitsu is now is so vastly different from what it was then. And it's not even that long. Like that was it was a very young sport in the area at the time compared to what it is now. And so I needed stability. I get into brewing and I'm all in on brewing and I have to make a choice at that time. And this is all just kind of background leading to what's going on now. And so I had to make a choice. I have to decide on what's going to be the best thing for the thing I wanted, having a family and all of that. And so I had to pick the thing that was going to be the most stable, set us up the best for the future. And so get into brewing, so that I can support having a family. And I was still doing jujitsu at the time, but things kind of changed, chasing one career path. You kind of have to give up on it. You have to not to give up, but you have to put one aside every once, because you have to prioritize like you're saying, like I need to be able to spend time with my wife. I need to be able to spend time with, you gotta be able to do things outside of work. You have to be able to go after the career goals that you have, which I've now achieved over the past, 9-10 years. And so the prioritization was a big thing. And so like, obviously, well, maybe not for everybody. Some people don't necessarily do it this way, but for me, I had to put family at the top. Mm-hmm. And sometimes making money can get in the way of that. You have to do things but you're doing it for them. You have to have money to support the family. Dude. Exactly. You might give up a little bit of time with them because you need to make money. But then as you're kind of going through those things, eventually you find you might find new passions in life. And, for me, I found jujitsu again. And I think especially now, like the relationship that I have with jujitsu, like it became fun again. And part of that might have just been what was kind of going on at the time, where the gym was at the time, like where it was, how the gym was, the situations at the gym, a bunch of other factors were involved in kind of taking a step back too, like not getting the fights you need, like things that were making it less stable at the time. But ultimately, you find I find things that like I'm super passionate about, get super involved in them. And then I have to decide like which thing I'm going to pursue, because otherwise I will run myself so ragged and then I'm no good to anybody. Like I can't do anything to capacity because I'm so spread thin and I burn myself out. And that's not fair to any of the other people involved. It's not fair to wife, not fair to the kids. Like so for example, right now, a normal day for me is wake up at 4 a.m. I go train, coach, do my strength and conditioning, work all day, come home. And by the time at home, it's like dinner time, spend a little bit of time with the kids and they go to bed. I'll work on the podcast and then I go to bed. And so like, those are long ass days of pretty much all work, right? With the exception of spending time with the family. But such a small part of my day is spent doing the thing that I want to be the number one thing, which is spending time with the family, that it's in the largest portion of my day is spent doing something that ultimately does not, with the exception of providing us with fun, like money, does not further my goals at all. And so I had to make a decision, which was, all right, I can keep doing this job that provides money, but does not provide fulfillment because it does not move me towards a goal. Or I can give up on, basically I have 4 things going. I really should only have 3 things going. Which things are going to stick around?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I'm keeping the family,
Mm-hmm.
not getting rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like things that are challenging. You know, it's going to be a lot harder thing to do. Chase jujitsu again.
Mm-hmm.
Jiu-jitsu in the podcast. So that's what I ended up choosing. And so, because I know that if I try to do all these things, I'll reach a point of burnout and then I'll probably have to get rid of most things.
Well, I would also add, dude, like high level, like strategically for your life, right? You do those challenging things well, it'll give you the flexibility and time to do number one, family.
Exactly.
As much as you want.
Yeah. So like these things that if I get them, it might suck for a little bit.
Could take some work.
It's going to take a lot of work, but ultimately
you're working already. You work fucking hard. So it's like, okay, work hard on this shit that's stealing my life from me, or I can work for these things that like get me to where I want to go.
Exactly. I mean, like,
you don't have to explain that.
Of all the things that I do, working hard is what I do the best.
Correct.
And so like I've always worked, it's always been a thing that I've done. Like I've always worked hard. I've worked hard jobs.
Get up at 4 fucking a.m.
Get up at 4 a.m. We were just talking about how I used to get up at 2 a.m. to go to be on
go kill some crabs. Yeah.
We were killing them. We're just kidding. They're alive.
Excuse me.
But I like hard things. On the last episode, we talked about how I worked for a inflatable party, whatever, carnival company.
Yeah, I was confused by that. I was like, is that inflatable arm guys?
No, like the inflatable slides.
Bouncy houses and shit?
Bounce houses.
Nice.
I was a carny for a couple months.
Awesome.
But like these are all the hard things that help me reach the goals I want to do. And in this case, right, like another hard part about having a family in jiu-jitsu is a lot of the stuff for jiu-jitsu is at weird hours when other people aren't working, because that's when the clientele is available. And a lot of things for competitors is on the weekends. So if I wanted to chase jiu-jitsu again, that meant having to give up all the hours when you could be spending time with your kids. So what is the best way to solve this if that's what I want to do? Be home when everyone else is at work, because then I still get the time with the family, especially now. My kids are young. They're not in school yet. They're not like full-time in school yet. So they're home most of the day. Like I can spend time with them during the day. And it also allows my wife to do things she wants to do without being burdened with kids. Not the right way to put that, but
well, it gives her the flexibility. Like
she doesn't have to have the kids in tow to do the things she wants to do. Like she can go to the gym. She can get her workouts in and not have to bring kids with her, or she can go grocery shopping, not have to have the kids with her. Like those are things that make her life better too, right? Like if I can wake up, because I'm still going to wake up at 4 a.m. and go train, because that's what I do. Like it's what I'm being paid to do. But like now I can wake up, I can go train, coach at 5:30, come home, get the kids to school. She can go do her thing. Then I can go do my strength and conditioning, pick up my son from school. Then we can spend time. We have plenty of time during the day to spend together. Then I can even still go train or coach at night. And now, instead of having spent most of my day away, I've now spent most of my day with my family. And so that sets up a way better balance for me, like way better life balance, to where now I'm getting to do the things I want to do. And I'm still getting to train. I'm still getting to coach, which is, ultimately that's the income portion of it. Still getting to compete, which is the brand building portion of it. Do the podcast, have time to do this and make it more flexible to where we're not having to cram in things on specific days. Like we can with whatever flexibility we're able to schedule ourselves so that we're now able to fit this in ways that isn't as
Tight.
Yeah, it's not as stressful on
You
the
can
schedule.
get more and better content.
Yeah, we'll be able to, now we're going to be able to provide more content, better content, different types of content that we've been talking about. So, things that will increase the viability of this business while also like the career path to jiu-jitsu becomes more viable. And it gives me time to grind for things like, things that allow me to do jiu-jitsu full time, like picking up a sponsor, right? Like things that provide value to them. I recently, got picked up by Cruise Combat, right? And they're having things like that allows me to put time and energy into jiu-jitsu into the podcast because I have avenues of support, them, the gym being able to provide me with ways to make money, like things like that, all these things coming together to help support doing the things that might not be profitable yet, right? Like competing not every competition gives you money. You don't get paid to compete. And sometimes they cost money. It's getting there costs money. Staying wherever, like example, PANS, New York City, right? Well, Long Island. You got to get to New York. You got to stay somewhere. The hotel next door to the venue that they're having it at is at like $600 a night right now.
Pass.
So fuck that.
Yeah. It better be the Four Seasons.
And it is, there's it's a Marriott.
Okay.
Not too bad.
Okay.
But
not $600.
Not $600 a night good.
I'll sleep in the truck.
Yeah. I'll bring a tent. But like competing costs money. And for the most part, that's prestige and title. And those are things that can help facilitate success in jiu-jitsu, but they don't necessarily. There's plenty of guys who are successful that don't compete or aren't like title holders for any sort of, you don't have to win things to be successful, but it can help. It also, it's
branding, like you said.
Yeah, it's branding, right? Or it can help you prove things to yourself and become better because you learn things while you're there. Like you figure out holes in your game that then you find out how can I be top level. So like there's reasons for it, but you're not getting paid for it. Then there are some that do pay money. Like Vanguard Invitational, there's a cash prize if you win. NGA has, submission of the night, match of the night bonuses. Like there are ways to get money, but it's not like substantial if you're not at the top of the sport, right?
I mean, even some of those guys at the top of sport, man, like they'll make like maybe 10 G's.
Yeah. I mean,
which like I would take it, of course, but 10 G's, man. I mean, that's like,
especially with the amount of
2
time
months
and
of
energy
expenses.
put in. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that you have to do that every month.
So
twice a month.
It's like
times
you
a month.
said, like the physical work isn't what you get paid for. It's how you sell yourself. It's the things you do around jujitsu to monetize jujitsu, like owning a business or coaching or private lessons. Like those are the things that make you money. And so you got to have time to do those things if you want to, well, at least for me, for us, like you have to have time for those things to monetize the thing that's fun. And so you have to make that thing to keep that thing fun too, right? Like we should be enjoying doing jujitsu. It's great to be able to do jujitsu. And if you can find the way to make money around it, even if you're not necessarily making money doing it, like obviously I get kind of are, but if you can monetize the sport so that you can have the time to do it, for me, that's the goal. And so like, shout out to Jason over at Battlefield for helping me with that, making it possible. Coaching me, Cruise Combat, huge shout out for them. Like that dude's taking a huge chance on me, right? Like I'm just a guy.
Shout him, man.
Yeah. So, Ryan,
shout him loud.
Ryan over at Cruise Combat. Thank you.
Yeah.
Buy their stuff. I'll put links.
Buy some Cruise Combat stuff
links.
And definitely use Mike's link.
Yeah, definitely use my link. But so like finding the way to, I'm essentially trying to create the life I want, right? And I reached a point where I decided that working for someone else in a 8-hour a day job that wasn't, I had already reached the goal of what I wanted to do in that career. And so at that point, it was just a job, right? Like, it's a weird way to put it, but
No,
not weird.
I'm picking it. I know exactly what you mean.
Like, I had
Not
an
weird at all.
aspiration. Yeah. I had an aspiration of what I wanted to accomplish in that career. I reached it. And then I kind of started like the reason for doing it started to get muddy. And I decided there were other things that I wanted to put that time towards that would be way more fulfilling to me. Like that 2 hours from getting home to my kids going to bed, way more fulfilling than the 8 hours I spent at work, right? Sometimes even longer than 8 hours, especially when you're the guy, you're running the business. That 8 hours plus becomes super muddy because sometimes I'm waking up at 4 a.m. and for the brewery, I have clients that are in different time zones. One of them is in Dubai. Like, I'm almost 24/7 except for when I'm sleeping, right? Like, so it becomes very difficult because I have to do my job all the time. So I just needed a way to change that because it was stealing not just my time, but it was taking time for my kids. It was taking time for my wife and making it difficult for them. So like it became a pretty tough it becomes a pretty tough balancing act. And, like we're talking about balance here, like, you gotta figure out how to do that. And sometimes that's hard. We're lucky enough to be in a situation where like, we'll be okay, but I guess, it's tough to pick those things out because it can be scary to chase a new career. And this is not really a new one, but it's the second time going back to it. And it's the second time chasing a new career, like those are tough things to do and it takes sacrifice. But luckily you have people supporting you. Shout out to my wife.
Shout out to your wife, man.
So, like, I think that a lot of people that have family, job, doing jujitsu, and like a lot of them, there's guys who are doing it professionally, doing jujitsu. And then there's people that are also, doing it as a hobby. And like, that's their social hour. That's their social time. And like balancing all those things is tough, especially like with how addictive jujitsu is, right? Like you're getting like that, almost like the runner's high. Like there's massive dopamine from doing jiu-jitsu, like competing in jiu-jitsu too, like wins. And it's very, very easy to get sucked in and that be the thing that you want to do. And also have other things you need to do because there's other people who you have to revolve your life around. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough because you have people that rely on you, and similar to how you're talking about, like you have employees, right? Like you can't just gallivant around and do jiu-jitsu tournaments every weekend because you have people that you're also beholden to for the companies that you own. So like, yeah. It's that in a way, like the situations are similar because there's people that rely on you. So whether it's family and kids or a business and the people that help you make that business work, like the balance is important for people outside of yourself, I guess. These things I'm kind of thinking of as we're talking. And so you have to balance these things because if you just do the things that you want to do, and they don't benefit the things that make it possible, then yeah, it can be trouble. So,
well, you said something earlier that I think connects this, perhaps speaking for myself, this is kind of like an overarching narrative behind all of it, which I guess I'm going to go for it. I think you have to I say this for us, but for anyone listening to it, sort of like you have to think to yourself, like, you get one life to live. This is not an easy thing to do, but what was I put on this earth to do? And like, you know, if you're like, you sit silently, you know, anyone just no noise, you can probably answer that question. Most people can answer the question. Whether they do it or not is another thing, but they can answer the question. At least like what they want to do, what they're good at, because that will then convey like, what can I get paid to do? Like, what am I meant to be doing in my life? Where do I provide value to others? And then where you can, because what I said that I connected to earlier is like you were saying, like you were becoming no use to the people around you when you're constantly exhausted and kind of just upset, pissed, or whatever. I don't know. You
Frustrated.
Frustrated.
Yeah.
You didn't say those words, but I was picking up what you're putting down.
Frustrated,
Frustrated, exhausted. Like it's not benefiting you,
Mm-mm.
and like it's not. The longer you don't benefit from this, the more that then means other people around you who rely on you aren't going to benefit from that. You need to be the best. Like you need to be in your best possible position to be valuable to them and to other people in your life too. So that to me, that's why I'm saying it like this. Is like, what's the right thing for you to be doing that's sustainable and motivating and that you want to be good at that can, and then I guess the next thing there is like, if we're going to come up with like I don't know, a mission statement for people, it's like, find that and then get paid as much as possible to do it.
Yeah. What is the thing that benefits
as many people as possible?
As many people around you, especially the ones that are the most important to you, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if you break it down, if you frame it like that, it's like, yeah, how do I become how am I the most valuable to my family? And then B, like, if I'm able to put more time and energy into jujitsu and coaching, then I'm more valuable to all these guys that show up every morning, right? The guys that show up in the morning for me.
Those are
to
your
train
customers.
Yeah.
Your customers need to have that value too.
Yeah. So like, how do I provide them the most amount of value by not being in a rush or not being burnt out from doing other things that have become not a thing have taken away from the passion. Like it's the same thing with the guys that currently work for me, right? Like I also want to be the best boss for them. You know, I want to be the best. I want to be able to manage them the best that I can. And if I'm not in it, then I'm not the best. You know, if I'm my heart and mind aren't into it,
it takes away from their time and experience.
That's not beneficial to them either. So yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good way to frame that. Like, that's a good, like, let's look at this through a microscope. Like, how are you the most valuable to the people that matter to you and the things that matter to you? You know, and cause yeah, it can't just be, I want to do all these things, right? Like, it can't just be that because something's going to have to give eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything, but if everything you do is, if you're doing mostly things that are monetized and don't have that free time, like you're talking about. And in my case, like free time is family time, right? Like that's what I want to do in those. If I have time, I want to spend time with family. And then you also have all these other things to do. So, I mean, yeah, it's tough. I mean, balancing the balancing act of life in general is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Especially as there's so many things you can do and there's so many things that can take you away from those things. That, yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
It's a lot, but once, you know, if you can answer that question and then, well, if you answer that question and you choose to do these things and you can then follow up on it. And some people are really good at like figuring out ways to make money. Some people aren't, but I keep bringing that up, money, because it's like, you have to have it to live.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to. Like, I'm not here to like make a case for whether that's good or bad. It just is what it is.
Well, and you don't have to look into like you don't have to look at yourself. Your value doesn't have to be tied to the money, but your ability to live is tied to the
100%.
The amount of money you have doesn't have to matter.
No, but like it's a practical thing for this type of thought process to say, like, because like if you want to continue doing these things with that question that I propose for any individual listening, it's like you're going to need to have a sustainable path to gaining access to that money to continue to do it. And then, as you said, for family, for whatever, like you got to like, you know, things, this life runs on money here. Just, it does. In the United States, it does. Like you got to have it. So like, if you could answer that question, come up with a way to like, you know, if you listen to this and you're like, okay, yeah, I want to do that. Like, come up with like a practical next step. Like, I got to get this much money. I got to like find a way to live just to make ends meet. And then from there, you can continue to build off of that. All right, I've made ends meet. Now I want to like live a little bit more with less stress or whatever. I want to like do some things. I want to enhance my life. Like you can like the exercise of doing that first step, the person who can do that can then get to the next step and the next step. And you always have to be evaluating and developing your skills in that realm as well. And then at that point, it's just a game of ambition. Like, what do you, maybe that goes back to the core question. Like, what are you put here to do? Like, how ambitious are you? What do you want to get done? At what level, at what scale? And you keep pushing until you find until you meet your needs.
Yeah.
And the needs of your family or whoever, like you said, the people relying on you, man. Like yeah, like that's, but okay, to the balancing of that, it's like, if you're going to do these things, like, again, it just has to be like one life to live. Start with the day, start with the week and say, how am I spending my time? Is what I'm spending my time on getting me to this point? And that's an exercise you're always going to have to audit too. Like you're going to have to constantly be reassessing that too. And I'm doing that right now, looking at my schedule and think I'm always doing that, but I'm definitely doing it right now, figuring out like what needs to be adjusted for this purpose. And then, it's kind of like there's for what we are doing, there's not one clear path on how to do it. There are people who have done things like what we are talking about successfully, and those are good models to study. I highly recommend that.
We kind of talked about some of that earlier before we start recording this one. Like the thing that worked for them might not be the thing that works for you either. Like we were just talking about like some of the branding stuff. Like one guy says do it this way, but that way didn't work. It doesn't work as well for you as it does for them. And actually a different model worked better for you. But like, at least you have a framework, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
it's not easy.
No,
but it's just like anything else. It's like, how invested are you in it? You're going to find an answer. You keep working at it. You'll find an answer. And you just have to if you come back to the core question and remind yourself why you're doing it. You have your why. You build your plan around it. You assess the plan, see when the plan is working and when it's not working. And you have to constantly have that exercise of being honest about that too, when things working and not working.
Well, and you have to surround yourself with people that want you to be successful as well, right? Like
big time.
It's very easy to want to have the people around you that you've had around you, but there's also, you have different phases in life, and like you can have there's people that might be around you in one that really aren't worried about you being successful in the things you want to be successful in. Like you guys are drawn to each other for different reasons, or, it's just you happen to, same place, same time, whatever, right? Like so you do have to also surround yourself with the people that want to see you succeed in whatever it is you're doing. Like that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Because that can either be a drain on what you're doing, or it could be an asset in what you're doing.
Yeah, because I mean, you could, that free time you have, right? You go to and you spend time with people that creates things that are detracting from your ultimate goal, right? Your main goal. That's going to start to break that balance down, and it becomes hard as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. It's yeah. You have to ask yourself a lot of like I guess maybe because I've been doing it for a while, I was going to say some of these are hard questions, but they get easier because you get aligned with what we talked about, like your true north as a person, and that what you're describing, it gets a little bit easier. It is hard inherently, especially on that one too, where it's like people, like the vetting people thing.
Yeah, I
have a buddy who I talked to recently, and it's like a similar position of business owner. He told me he once a month he audits the circle of people he talks to. And he's like, I'll push them out. I'll keep them at arm's length. I'll bring these ones in. Like he's always doing that, which I think is, that's a guy who to this hard question that I'm referring to, he's made it relatively easy. But yeah, it's like this stuff. I mean, if you're not doing this and you're hearing this right now, like that might sound like it's a really difficult thing to do. And I realize that, but if it has to be done, it just has to be done.
Well, and
because you got one life to live.
The exact way
we don't have time to waste,
too, the way we're doing it might not be the way that works for you either. But I went through that whole audit process probably back in February and March, because I was around the time that I started toying with the idea of
pulling the trigger on what
I think I can just do this again. And so you go through and I had those competitions at the beginning of the year. I'm like, all right, so that didn't work out the way I want. What was I doing before? And you look back at all right, well, what pieces don't I have? What pieces do I have? What do I need? and you go through all these things that like, all right, well, what does this person do? What's making them successful? And you have to sit there and like compile the list of like, all right, here's all the things I need to do. Here's the things I need to get done. And it was like, all right, before I was intensive strength and conditioning program, I was, hustling to try to pick up support systems, sponsors, ways to monetize what I'm doing and like, putting all these things together and like, making this list of like, all right, who all do I need? What do I need to do? What do I need to get rid of? What do I need to pick up? All of these things. And like, it's, you start to really realize, like almost like the fat around your life, like what needs to be trimmed to make your life what you want it to be and streamlined and be able to do the things you want, spend time with the people you want to spend time with and feel fulfilled, right? Like, cause ultimately, yeah, you get one life. Like you said, you get to do this one time. And, I was talking with someone who, a student of mine, someone who I train, and he was like, I was so obsessed with getting as much money and power. And he listens to this show, so hopefully he,
well, you keep it anonymous. He'll know.
But like he was saying he was so obsessed with making as much money and power, gathering as much power and like, climbing the ladder or whatever, getting as much money as possible. And then when he could no longer do that, you realize all the things you miss. And actually I was on the way here, I was talking with my mom and she was like, the best thing she ever did. And the moment she realized it was when she quit her job and was able to, like in before, like I was fully in school, like, in those younger years. And she's like, when we were just kind of like walking around and like just a little thing, like picking up a stick and playing with the stick. Like, she's like, these are things that she would have missed if she tried to like chase this other stuff at the time. And so like those little moments and like the times when, there's stuff you can't get back. Right. So if those are the things that matter to you, you finding a way to keep those things, right? Like it doesn't have to be kid stuff. It can be anything. Like there's just stuff you can't get time back. So, got to figure out how to get the time you want.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And that's the balance question. It's like, what do you have this resource of time and, you need to have an answer for it. We can't give you the answer.
No.
I mean, the balance is like you spend your time on what you value. You just got to know what you value.
Oh yeah. I mean, exactly. Cause can't take anything with you. Right.
You ain't taking it with you.
Yeah. They might figure that out.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. I guess we'll wrap on that.
Cool.
So like, thank you guys for going through. I know we got like kind of deep on some of that. So,
let's go deep.
Hopefully you guys gain something from this. That's ultimately the goal with this conversation. Especially with how fresh this is on my mind and, Scott as well. Like we were kind of sitting here talking about what we wanted to go over today, and we decided the balancing act because jiu-jitsu does kind of have a life balance issue inherently in it. And, so we just want to give you guys a little bit of our experiences and how we're managing that or have been managing that. So I hope that you guys find value in this, and thank you again listening to Fighters Drinking Coffee.
Cruise Combat.
Yeah. Check out Cruise Combat. They actually awesome company. So they are one of like the first made in the USA companies to be doing gear for jiu-jitsu. So like shorts, rash guards, t-shirts, they do lifestyle stuff. So Cruise Combat, made in the USA, that's the tagline. They make great stuff. They're awesome guys out of Dallas, Texas. And like everything's made to order. Like they're awesome. So
what's the discount they get?
So go to cruisecombat.com. I'll have the link that takes you through my thing, and if everything times out right, links are weird. So don't always, it'll take you to the website, but, use the code GetSudsy. It'll give you $5 off the order. Biggest thing is this supports us, guys. Like this supports my time for running the podcast, all the editing, the time we spend recording. and also like helps, it helps cover all like the travel and stuff, which ultimately generates content for this, right? Like all the things we do generates content for this. So biggest thing is it supports us. So cruisecombat.com, code GetSudsy. That'll get you guys $5 off the order and support the podcast and me. And hit the Discord. That link is in the show notes. Also follow Fighters Drinking Coffee on Instagram. We'll be having more and more content actually coming out there for you guys. So we're working on a bunch of new things that we're going to be looking to get out. And actually by the time this is out, we might have some of that for you. And then you can find me at Get Sudsy on Instagram.
At Scott Dance BJJ.
So, you can keep up with us there. We'll be competing a lot over the next, either Scott will be competing. Actually, he will have just competed when this comes out, or I'll be competing. We have, a lot of stuff over the next end of the year. So check us out, like, follow, subscribe, wherever you're listening to this. Those reviews too, those help us out a lot, especially, we've been getting some feedback from some of you guys. We're really glad to see you guys enjoying the show. So bye.
Bye.